Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Sunny Stewart. First I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Sunshine Stewart was born in 1976 and lived in the state of Maine. She went by the name Sunny. She was raised in the town of Union and went to Meadowmack Valley High School in Waldoboro. Sunny later graduated from Bradford College in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Sometime around 2004, Sunny purchased a two-bedroom, 924-square-foot house on River Road in the Tenants Harbor neighborhood of St. George. This is about 24 miles south of Union. Sunny was described as very handy and fixed up the house herself. Over the years, Sunny had a variety of jobs. For example, she was a waitress, bartender, carpenter, and lobster boat worker. Sunny never married and never had any children. She traveled frequently and enjoyed outdoor activities, especially those involving water. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. Sometime around June 30, 2025, Sunny rented a camper at the Micmac Cove Family Campground in Union, Maine. This campground sits on the north shore of Crawford Pond. Sunny planned on staying there throughout the summer, hosting various family members and friends. For example, she enjoyed teaching people how to paddleboard. On July 2, 2025, Sunny Stewart went paddleboarding on Crawford Pond sometime around 6 p.m. When she failed to return, her roommate became worried. Just before 12:30 a.m., now on July 3, the owner of the campground, Catherine Lunt, called the police. A search was initiated. Sometime around dawn, the police found Sunny's blue paddleboard using a drone. It was located on 100-acre island. This island sits in the middle of Crawford Pond and can only be accessed by water. The body of 48-year-old Sunny Stewart was found next to the paddleboard. Her cause of death was strangulation and blunt force trauma. Sunny's murder represented a bit of a mystery for the police. Crawford Pond does not have any public access. To use the pond, one must obtain permission from one of the owners of the surrounding properties. There were a very limited number of people who could have killed Sunny, especially in the narrow time frame. On July 16, 2025, about 2 weeks after Sunny's murder, a 17-year-old named Devin Young was arrested and charged with depraved indifference murder. He was from Frankfort, Maine, and had been staying at the campground with family members since May 1, 2025. So he was there prior to Sunny's arrival. A judge ordered that Devin be held without bail. Prosecutors indicated they will seek to try Devin as an adult. He turns 18 in September 2025. If he is tried as a juvenile, he will be released at the age of 21 if convicted. As an adult, Devin would face a much more severe penalty if convicted, 25 years to life in prison. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. According to Catherine Lunt, the owner of the campground, Devin was not on anyone's radar. No one suspected that he was the killer. During the investigation, Devin acted in a normal fashion, as if nothing had happened. Some of Devin's behavior supports this assessment. For example, on July 12, Devin posted a photograph on Facebook. When someone posted a comment asking how he was doing, he responded, "I'm doing good. How are you doing?" Also, Devin made no apparent effort to leave the campground while the investigation was being conducted. It was as if he did not have a care in the world. Item number 2. When Catherine checked video surveillance for the night that Sunny disappeared, she noticed that Devin had taken a small fishing boat onto Crawford Pond less than an hour before Sunny went paddleboarding. Catherine said that Devin offered to help the police with the search and took them in the opposite direction from where Sunny was ultimately found. If this is the only evidence against Devin, it doesn't look too good for him, but it's not enough to prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Just because a person inserts themselves into an investigation doesn't mean they are guilty. I imagine the police must have something else. Maybe they have DNA, perhaps they have a confession. Anything is possible, but the police are not talking. Item number 3. 2 acquaintances of Devin told the media that he was a bully as early as preschool and was known for getting into fights. Another acquaintance did not view Devin as a troublemaker, so we see a difference of opinion here. It is reasonable to believe that there were no clear warning signs that Devin was a killer if he is in fact guilty. Even if he initiated a bullying career in preschool, homicide was still an unlikely outcome. Item number 4, what do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Even though the evidence has not yet been released, I would guess the police have a good reason for arresting Devin, maybe a few good reasons. I will run on the assumption that he is guilty for the purposes of this analysis, but it is important to remember that he maintains the presumption of innocence. Devin was 5'8", 250 pounds, and physically unattractive. He may have experienced difficulty advancing any type of romantic agenda. This could have left him frustrated and desperate to have some type of sexual contact. Furthermore, he may have had a desire to sexually dominate women, a common characteristic of serial killers. Despite these desires, Devin was not planning on committing any type of attack, including murder, but he was vulnerable to acting if an opportunity came along. He may have had impulse control problems. When he saw Sunny at the campground, he started fantasizing about her. There was no known contact between Devin and Sunny. He knew that approaching Sunny and trying to form a relationship did not make any sense. Devin was unattractive and he was only 17. There was no chance of a summer romance at the campground, not with Sunny and probably not with any woman who was there. As Devin continued to fantasize, he had difficulty restraining his urge to act violently. On the evening of the murder, Devin went out on the pond in a small fishing boat. Less than an hour later, Sunny started paddleboarding. There's no way to know if Devin was in the fishing boat because he predicted that Sunny would be on her paddleboard that evening, or if this was just a coincidence. Either way, they were both out on the water together, and presumably no one else was out there, at least not close by. Hoping to conduct an assault of a sexual nature, Devin approached Sunny. It's not clear how he did this. Maybe he acted like he needed help, and she came over to him. Perhaps she was on 100 Acre Island, and Devin joined her there. Again, there's no way to know, but somehow he closed the distance. I think it's unlikely that Devin chased Sunny down because he probably did not have a tremendous amount of stamina. After closing the distance, Devin perpetrated a sexually motivated attack against Sunny and murdered her. After the murder, Devin made his way back to the campground. He did not really have a plan as far as getting away with his crime. Maybe he unrealistically believed that no one would notice Sunny was missing, no one would care if they did notice, or she would never be found. When the police showed up, Devin became nervous, looking for some way to regain control and lessen his anxiety. He inserted himself into the investigation and attempted to misdirect law enforcement. He did not realize how that behavior made him a prime suspect. Now moving to my final thoughts. This case is particularly frightening because there does not appear to be anything the victim could have done to prevent the murder. Sunny did not know Devin Young. They were not in a romantic relationship. There was no relationship at all. She did not do anything to offend him. Sunny had only been at the campground for a few days when she was killed. When she went paddleboarding, it was still daylight. This was a very low-risk activity as far as homicide. There may have been a small risk of drowning, but not murder. The alleged killer did not follow Sunny to the campground. He was already there when she arrived. Furthermore, he was only 17 years old and did not exhibit any warning signs detected by anyone else at the campground, at least not that have been reported. There was really nothing that Sunny could have done to protect herself. No one would have expected that she would have been murdered at the campground. As far as what lessons can be learned from this case, sadly, I think the lesson here is that danger can lurk anywhere. Safety is never guaranteed. Even an unattractive and out-of-shape 17-year-old campground visitor can allegedly turn into a monstrous killer without provocation. He can allegedly kill in an environment which gives him very little chance of escaping the consequences of his behavior. If Sunny had looked at Devin at any point during her short time at the campground, she probably did not think anything of him. He was just a background figure, insignificant as far as her experience and her purpose for being there, not someone who would affect her life in any way, certainly not someone who would end her life. Any subconscious threat assessment she may have processed would have returned a value of near zero. Assuming that Devin is guilty, The only hope that society has with somebody like him is that during his first attempt to kill, he fails. He reveals himself as homicidal, is put in prison, and society is safe. Young, inexperienced, and violent individuals often do fail in their early crimes. Unfortunately, in this case, Devin allegedly managed to complete a murder. He didn't get away with it, but of course that doesn't help Sunny. Anyone who kills like Devin allegedly did, impulsively, without fear, and without provocation, represents an ongoing danger to the public. There's a good chance he would have continued to kill if he was not arrested. This means that Sunny's death may have inadvertently shielded countless others from future violence. Those are my thoughts on the case of Sunny Stewart. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Just a reminder that I have over 300 pre-release videos on my Patreon account. These videos are of the same quality as the videos I release to the public. When I put a video in pre-release status, it usually stays there for several months, if not a year. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video.